Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Andrew Aurora, and I help artists and producers bring their creative vision to life through mixing and mastering. And today I'm going to be mixing my song that I produced, Goat, and teach you guys how to mix this song from start to finish. And if you guys enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notifications bell so that way you never miss a video, as I put out a video like this every single week to help artists and producers. Now let's jump right into this song. So I produced this song a couple years ago, and I felt like this would be a really cool song to mix. I'm not going to take too much time here. I'm just going to jump right into the mixing. So let me just hit play so that way you guys can hear it first. Cool. So this song, I did a lot of like mixing stuff while I produced it. So there's a lot of stuff that's like baked into the tracks, and it already sounds, pretty good as it is. And all I've really done here is just pop these tracks into my template, and this is how it sounds. This is why I talk so much about template mixing, where if you get a template built, you can just pop tracks into your template, and it'll sound pretty close to mixed. But first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come up here to my master, where I'm going to check some of my mastering chain, make sure that we're not like squashing anything too much. So I saw that I was hitting a pretty good LUFS, a little louder than I needed to, so I just brought the threshold back because I was limiting a little bit more than I wanted to. And now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with getting the drums dialed in. I like to have a good drum balance first and then kind of build off of that foundation with my mix. So let's start with this. Okay, first things first, that snare needs a little bit more oomph compared to the kick. Let's try a little bit of SSL channel strip EQ on this. Let's see if that gives me some of that little thump that I want. It's pretty subtle, but it's a little bit more. I like it. Alright, same with this snare down here on the intro section of the song. We're going to bump that up to match the kick a little more. And we're going to do the exact same thing here, some SSL. Alright, cool, sounding okay. Now let's come check some other elements in the drum mix. Now, real quick, I wanted to interrupt this video to mention my free resource, The Essentials Guide to Becoming a Beast at Mixing and Mastering. This free resource includes a step-by-step mixing guide, a list of what I feel are the most important things for you to focus on to become a beast at mixing and mastering, my favorite mixing and mastering tips, and my favorite resources, such as my favorite books and favorite ear training programs to help you develop a strong foundation for yourself on your mixing and mastering journey. And if you want to pick this up, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of this video. And of course, if you'd like a chance to work with me, there's also a link in the description to apply to work with me as well. Now on to the rest of the video. Okay, so that's definitely way too hot. That clap is way too loud. Let's see here. All right, getting a little bit closer. Let's check the other elements. Okay, let's check the hi-hats or the cymbals here. Let's see how this sounds next to everything else. I needed a little bit more cymbals, so I used my limiter on my cymbals bus just to bring up my cymbal volume just a little bit. And something else that I need to do here, and I mixed this song before doing a video on it, so that way I don't take, longer than I need to actually make a video on the song. So what I did before I started this video is I had a reverb that I already set up, already created for this song, so that way I didn't spend like 10 or 15 minutes trying to dial in the perfect reverb, right? And I got it saved here. We've got Pro R, we've got space at about 1.90, we've got a decay rate of about 110, a little bit of stereo width here, got a far distance because I want this to sound like a very spacious kind of reverb, and this is going to be essentially our drum reverb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to send my drum elements to that reverb, so that way we get some spaciousness with our drums. And then we need okay, do a little bit of not snare verb. I don't need snare verb. I need drum verb. All right, let's see. Do the exact same thing over here with these two. All right, cool. You the G-O-A-T, baby, I tell him. You the G. And we're going to going to do the same thing with our cymbals here. We're going to just put some drum reverb on the cymbals. And we're also going to low cut this so we get rid of those frequencies on the cymbals. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my bus compression. Let's see how the snare and the kick shells compression is working. Let a little bit more of that kick in just by adjusting the threshold. And let's go check the drum bus. Let's see how we're doing there. I think that little riser to the snare needs to come down just a little bit. So I'm using clip gain to adjust the volume instead of using a fader. I think that's, you know, it's a little bit quicker way for me to adjust it, and it's not really going to affect anything other than, you know, the volume. It's not going to affect, like, I don't have a compressor on that, for example, that where when I clip gain it, it's not hitting the compressor as hard. That's just a much quicker and more efficient way to adjust your volume if you're not having to worry about it, like, you know, not hitting a compressor as hard or whatever. You know, for example, if I was compressing that and I brought the clip gain down, then it would then no longer be hitting the compressor as hard as I wanted it to, but I don't have that problem here, so I'm just going to use clip gain to adjust the volume. Alright, we're hitting a pretty good level in my opinion. And then I want to check my DF Excite because I love using this to just give more excitement to my drums. You guys hear the difference? It added a little bit of air, a little bit of excitement on top of the drums. Check that out one more time. And then we've got that going into a clipper here, which gives, you know, puts the drums a little bit more in your face. And then we've got that going into a limiter. Actually going to bring this down a little bit because I don't want it to limit that hard. And then I'm actually going to bring the output gain up just a little bit since we lost a little bit of volume there. Next, I want to come back up to my master and I want to check my master bus compression, see where we're hitting, just the drums. See, my drums alone aren't even hitting my compressor or my limiter that hard. So we are at a pretty good point volume-wise. Now let's check this next to the rest of the mix. Alright, next thing I want to check is I want to see if my kick how my kick and my bass are sitting together. Now, if you're wondering what you're seeing here, what this is I've got a Pro Q on my kick bus up here, right here, and then I've got this using the analyzer, the Pro Q on my bass using the analyzer of the frequency spectrum of the Pro Q on the kick, so that way I can actually visually see the frequencies and see kind of where, you know, they're hitting together. I like to do this on my kick and my bass so I can kind of get my low end working together and have a visual so I can actually kind of see what they're doing. All right, cool. They're good. Now, the next thing that I want to do here, I forgot to change the color of that. I just like to have my buses that color, is I'm going to come up here to my chords and bass, and I want to sidechain my kick to the chords and the bass, so that way that kick every time it hits adds a little bit of movement to my chords and my bass. So what we're going to do is I've actually got two different kick drums. I've got like a verse kick, and then I've got like a hook kick, and we got kick, verse, kick, hook. That's what they're named. And I'm going to, first I'm going to come up here and I'm going to have this one be my, well, they're all labeled kick sample. So we're going to come up here and we're going to do this, this first one. And we are going to turn on the sidechain. We are going to set it to external. And we are going to have, every time that this kick hits, it's going to duck the chords and the bass just a little bit. That's a lot more than a little bit. So I'm going to solo these with the kick. Turned off auto gain because I don't want the auto gain tripping me up. And the trick with doing this is you have to play with the attack and release time, so that way, you know, it sounds like enough of the kick cuts through, and that you can actually hear a little bit when the kick makes it duck, but you don't want to hear it too much. You want it to sound a little bit transparent so it's not obviously like squashing the sound. And that's why I'm trying to hit around minus 3 dB of compression on this particular song. That's not a steadfast rule, but I'm not trying to like make this sound like the kick ducks everything out like a bunch. Sometimes that's like an artistical decision for people who are doing electronic music, is they want the kick to sound like it literally just ducks everything by like a lot. I don't know, like 8 dB, 10 dB, whatever, because it actually has a certain kind of sound, but that's not what I'm going for here. I want it to be kind of subtle, just enough to have the kick pop through a little bit more, while at the same time not making it sound too much like these elements, the chords and the bass, were squashed. I don't know if you can really hear the difference there, but if I have the release way too long, then it just sounds like the chords and the bass get ducked out for way too long. If I have it way too quick, then it sounds like the kick barely does anything to the chords and the bass. So you want kind of a medium release time here. I want kind of a quick attack here because I want it to sound like it happens quickly. So now let's do a before and after. Alright, and I know from mixing this song before that I'm going to want another one, but this time I'm going to want it on the hook kick. So we're going to set this up, do the exact same thing we just did, because both these kicks are actually a little bit different, so I'm going to have the attack and release times a little bit different. I think that sounds pretty good. And I want a little bit more chords here. And what I'm going to do is I actually want to add just a little bit of excitement to these chords. I'm not going to go too crazy with this. I love DF Excite on chords too. It just sounds really good. It's pretty subtle, but it adds just a little bit of excitement. Now let's check that next to everything else. It's subtle, but I needed just a little bit more chords. I heard a little frequency in there I didn't like, so I wanted to notch that out. Now let's move on to the leads. And I know from mixing this before that I want to compress this. Not a lot. I just want a little bit of compression. And we're going to use the Pro C for this one. Now I don't want to butcher the movement of this sound a lot, so what I want to do is I want to have kind of a slow attack, quick release, but I just want to bring the transient and the body a little bit closer together. I don't want to squash that transient, but I also don't want to, remove the movement by having too long of a release time. And I want to go for a little bit lower ratio because I don't want it to get ducked too much. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but the reverb that I had printed in this came up a bit more, gave it a bit more ambience, made it sound bigger. It really brought the reverb that I have and the actual transients of the sound a lot closer together. It just made it sound like a bigger, fuller sound just by adding a little bit of compression. And this limiter here is just being used for volume. It's not doing anything else. Same with this EQ. Just kind of... It's not really doing that much. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to do the exact same thing that I did to that one, and I'm going to copy and paste the settings from the last one. All right. Okay, now this brass is a little bit too quiet, so we're going to bring this up. Again, want to breathe a little bit more life into this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a different compressor this time. I'm going to do the CLA 76. As you can hear, that brought a little bit more of the detail out of that brass. Now let's see how it sounds next to everything else. Now the next element I want to focus on is actually going to be the snaps here. So what we're going to do is come down to the extras bus and we're going to bring all these up just a little bit. And all I had here was some side widener that was just saved on my template. It wasn't really doing that much. And I got some JW keys here, which I most of the time just use for a little bit of saturation. Which is exactly what I'm going to do here. That adds a little bit of extra ambience. Now let's come check out the clap impact here. Boost that just a little bit. Let's check out this. See if we can add just a little bit of saturation to this. A little bit more clip gain on this. I'm going to add just a little bit of top into this. There we go. Sounds pretty good. Let's see. How about this? Want to add a little bit of, again, a little more saturation to this. And a little bit of top end. Now what this needs is it needs a little bit of reverb. So let's send this to the extras reverb. And what I have going on with the extras reverb down here is I have another Pro R, and it's set up like this. If you guys want to copy these reverb settings, you can. This is probably my favorite reverb for synths that I have. Usually just kind of saved on my template because it almost always sounds good, and I just kind of adjust the size of it depending on the song. But yeah, I love this. I love this reverb. It almost always works. So yeah. You the G-O-A-T. You the G-O-A-T. You the G-O-A-T. You the G-O-A-T. Just checking that again. Let's see here. Okay, that's definitely going to need some reverb, but it's also going to need a little bit of a volume boost. There we go. You hear that? Like before and after that reverb. Just kind of cuts off, but with the reverb, tails off. It sounds way better. let's also just add a little bit of saturation to this, just to make it a little bit more full. I think I want more reverb on this. Yeah, more reverb. And then we just got a sub drop here. Which honestly, I think that can just stay where it's at. I think it's fine. So let's move on to the vocals. So the vocals pretty much have everything baked into them. I don't need to add any reverb or really do that much to them, but what I do want to do is I want to come to the hook here. Adjusting the volume on that just a little bit. And I want to use one of my favorite compressors here, the JST Vocals. And what I want to do is I want to do a little bit of let's try some blend. And I want to glue these vocals together just a little bit. Just want to take a little bit of harshness out of there. And if you guys are wondering what all these plugins are, this is usually my vocal chain, and I just have it turned off because I didn't need it for these because they're already so processed. And I'm not really doing much with the JW background vocals, or excuse me, bus glue vocals. This is a limiter, but I really don't feel like these need any limiting right now. I want to soften up some of that harshness in the vocals. And now let's take a listen. I do remember there were some vocals that needed a little bit of clip gain restructure. Let's see. Uh-oh. We've got a problem. Okay, this might be the end of this video right now. Okay, we had a little CPU issue there where, you know, you got the spinning wheel of death. But we're back to right where we left off.
You the GOAT.
Yeah, this part here. This part needed a little bit less volume.
You the GOAT.
We could use a little less bass, so we're going to bring the bass volume down just a little bit. Adjust the second compressor just a little bit. Alright, so the song is sounding pretty close to done. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my mastering chain and we're going to dial in a little bit of the mastering stuff. So let's get on with that. So coming up to my mastering chain, we've got a Pro Q3, which is really just here in case I need any EQ. Don't have anything going on there. Got my trusty JW bus glue mix. Got some max bass for some bass harmonics. Got the DF Excite, which I really like. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start dialing in some of these things, get them a little bit more refined. And I'm just going to kind of like cycle this. We are hitting our compressor just a little harder than I want to now, so we're just going to dial this back just a little bit. Heard a little frequency there that I didn't like, so I cut that out. You hear how that frequency actually made a difference? kind of hear it disappear. It's pretty subtle, but it definitely helped. It made the whole mix a little less pinchy to the ear. And now what we're going to do is add a little bit of max bass so I can get a little bit more thump. This adds harmonics to the low end. Okay, I think right there is pretty good. And now we're going to use my trusty DF Excite to add a little bit of excitement to this if it needs it. It's already got a little bit of DF Excite on it, but let's play around with it for just a little bit. So that was it's like you can definitely hear the difference. It definitely adds more excitement to the overall mix. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go down to Ozone 10 and we're going to start working in here. So what I've got right now is I got an EQ that's just boosting some highs. I almost always like this on every song because this EQ is very transparent, it's very subtle, and usually just adds a nice little bit of air to the overall mix, which I really like. And so what we're going to do is just kind of check this, see if I, still like it. Yep, I still like it. So see, maybe a lot of the time I like to boost some mid-range because mid-range really just fills up the song. Let's see if we want some of that or not. It's subtle, but I like it. And now I want to try just boosting a little bit of low end just to see if I like it. I might like it, I might not. Let's change this again to a low shelf. pretty subtle, but I think I like it. Let's check before and after the EQ. Alright, I think it sounds okay. Now let's move on to my favorite part of the mastering process, which is the exciter. So this is a lot of fun for me. I'm going to reset all of these, and I'm going to move these bands kind of where I like them. I had this saved from a previous session I did, and that should be good. Actually, I think yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine. Or actually, let's bump this up to maybe, let's try 200 hertz. And so I usually like to use the triode on the bottom, and sometimes I like to use the triode on the top. But what we're going to do is we're going to start by adding a little bit of excitement to the mid-range. I like to build around the mid-range and go from there. So let's start by, let's say put this at around 50, and let's start adding some of this in, and we're just going to have the mid-range soloed. Okay, cool. So just by adding that little bit, it made the song sound a little bit less scooped than what it did before, which I really like. And so now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to focus a little bit on the low end, see if we can get just a little bit more like thump on the low end with a little bit of saturation. Okay, so that definitely filled up the lows just a little bit. Alright, now let's focus a little bit on the highs here. and then add just a little bit to the top here. All right, let's see how that sounds. I definitely think that made that a little bit more interesting. I definitely like the way that's sounding. Now let's come on over to the maximizer, which we are slamming now by more than I thought. Now what we have here is we have a we've got the limiter, and then what we've got here is the actual clipper that comes before the limiter. Even though it's on the right side, it comes before the limiter, and then we've got like an attack and release control here. So I saw I was limiting a little too hard, so I brought the threshold back, and this is going to help us kind of get the song a little bit more in your face. So let's experiment a little bit with the maximizer here. I already feel like I like the medium more than the light, and the hard usually is just too much, but we can experiment with it real quick. I am definitely digging that. And now from here, I want to pretty much just kind of listen to the whole song, see if there's anything that's sticking out to me. Maybe there's some automation that's needed. I don't think there really will be much automation needed in this song, just because of, the way that I produced it. I kind of got everything, set up in a way where it's like I just don't really feel like there's going to be a lot of automation needed for this song. But let's just kind of give it a quick listen all the way through and see if anything needs to be changed.
You the G-O-A-T, baby, I tell 'em. 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 You the G-O-A-T, baby, I tell 'em.
Might add a little bit of top into this. Felt like the volume of that needed to come down just a little bit. I've already listened to the hook enough, so I'm just trying to kind of listen to the other sections. I feel like the clap could come down just a little bit. There is one thing here I want to try to adjust.
You the G-O-A-T. You the G-O-A-T. You the G-O-A-T.
Alright, well, we're going to do a little bit of dynamic compression or dynamic EQ here.
You the G-O-A-T. 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 You the G-O-A-T.
Maybe not. Let's just, how about we just notch that out just a little bit instead.
You the G-O-A-T.
Alright, that sounded a little better to me.
You the G-O-A-T. You the G-O-A-T.
I will, what I'll do here, a little bit of drum reverb. And bring that volume down just a little bit.
You the G-O-A-T, baby, I tell him.
Cool. So that is pretty much done at this point. If I was mixing this song either for another artist or if I was mixing it for myself, what I would do is I'd probably get up, take an ear break, come back, give it another listen, maybe make some tweaks later. And if I thought it was pretty good, check it in my car, whatever, and send it to the client and see how they felt about it and get some revisions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it helped you guys out. And if you guys want to work with me and maybe have your music featured on my channel where I can teach you guys how to mix your music as well as teach the rest of my audience how to mix your music, then I will leave a link in the description of this video for you guys to apply to work with me. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, leave me a comment if you have any questions, and share this with somebody who can gain some value from it. And I will see you guys next week. Peace.